Good evening. I am RJ City, and this is RJ Reads Wrestling Books. Tonight, dear readers, I will be reading a passage from a titan of wrestling literature, one that has many trials and tribulations and great successes, all wrapped up in red and yellow wit and good-fashioned candid Americana. I am talking, of course, about Hollywood Hulk Hogan by Hollywood Hulk Hogan, the pen name of Terry Bollea, with Michael Jan Friedman. There's the front of the book, and there's the back. Not many words, but I guess none are needed. The selection I will be reading from is a tumultuous time in the Hulkster's life when he was getting excited about his movie career and about to do a little film called Gremlins 2. So we begin. They told me it would be 2 days of filming, just a cameo role, really. But I could handle that. Hell, I was going to work with Steven Spielberg. When I got there, I saw that the dressing room they had set aside for me wasn't much more than a broom closet. It was no big deal. I was so excited about meeting Spielberg that I didn't care. Okay, they told me. Put your Hulk Hogan clothes on. You're going to run the Gremlins out of the theater. Cool. So I changed and went running out to the set, all ready to mind my P's and Q's and do the humble bumble double probation routine, and not really minding at all because in a minute, I'd be talking to Steven Spielberg. Then I would have a chance to show him that I wasn't just a yelling, screaming, bald-headed, peroxide blonde maniac. There was more to me than that. I was hoping he would say, hey, this guy might have something. Maybe I can make him a transvestite or a bad guy in my next film, or a transvestite and a bad guy. Maybe I can stick a couple of bolts in his neck and make him the next Terminator. So I went out onto the set and I started looking for Steven Spielberg. But instead of Spielberg, I saw this other guy telling people what to do. I saw him telling the cameraman when to roll and when to cut, and then I realized I was with the second unit director. Steven Spielberg was with the stars of the film, directing the money scenes. So I went all the way out there and I worked on Gremlins 2, but I never got to meet Steven Spielberg. That was just a carrot they dangled in front of me. In the end, though, it was cool. I took my kids to see the movie, and when they spotted their dad in it, their eyes popped. And that was just as good as meeting Steven Spielberg. Maybe even better. Anyway, by then I was in the process of making another film. The first of the two I had promised to do with New Line. They had a script lying around called Urban Commando. They tweaked it a little here and there and tailored it to fit me, and the result was a pretty good low-budget kids film called Suburban Commando. Technically, I was the movie's executive producer, but really, I didn't do anything. It just meant I got an extra check in the mail. Suburban Commando came out in 1991, lasted 2 or 3 weeks in the theaters, and made money. Not a ton of it, but enough that I didn't get branded as somebody who couldn't push a film. My co-stars were Christopher Lloyd and Shelley Duvall, who had gotten their starts in TV sitcoms. Shelley Duvall was very steady, very even-tempered. She would say things like, "We can do it, no problem." Nothing bothered her. Christopher Lloyd was pretty businesslike too. Well, he was on the set. But after work, it was a whole different story. He was going through a divorce at the time, so my wife and I decided to take him out at night and keep him company. He took us down to Melrose Avenue and led us to all these bars where everybody had spiked orange hair. I was scared to death, but the kids all said, "Hey, Christopher, what's up? Come here, man. Drink this. Smoke some of this." He knew everybody in every bar up and down Sunset and Melrose. I said to my wife, "This guy is not what we think he is." I ended up becoming really good friends with him, and I felt bad about seeing him go through the divorce. But what a survivor he was. He strolled through the whole mess with ease while we were shooting the movie. A little while later, it was time for my third film with New Line. They gave me a handful of scripts. Here's A, B, C, D, and E, they said. Pick the one you like best. But I met with a guy named Bob Shea, who was one of the executives there, and I pitched my own treatment. What about this? I said. He looked at me and he said, you write your own stuff? Not really, I said, but I kind of know what works for me. He thought about it and decided he liked my idea, but it needed some work. I'm going to send you to New York, he told me. There's a guy there named Michael Gottlieb who wrote a little movie called Mannequin. But if you don't think you can work with him, we'll find somebody else. So I went to New York and I met with Michael Gottlieb. He was a real skinny guy with buck teeth and big round glasses. We sat in the lobby of the Plaza Hotel and I laid this 13-page treatment on him. Right away, he started hitting me with ideas. What about this? What about that? What about a tea party with a girl and they put curlers in your hair? What if the kids torture you? I said, okay, brother. You're the guy. So he wrote Mr. Nanny. Of course, it was another low-budget film, so they didn't give us much to work with. We only had one toilet seat to break over my head, one anchor to hit the guy in the face with, only one pair of jeans to dye red in the swimming pool. But we turned out a hell of a little film. It did well in the theaters, and then it had an incredible shelf life. It went to video, it went international, it turned a bunch of money. I still keep getting big checks in the mail from it, so I had a tremendous back end as well as a tremendous front end. So my first few movies were money makers. Of course, I hadn't body slammed the movie business like I did the wrestling business. I learned it was more political connections than talent, and I didn't have a lot of either. But I had done well enough to draw some attention. It would give me the chance to appear in other movies and TV shows down the line. That would turn out to be a good thing and a bad thing. But don't take my word for it.
Guests of the RJ City Show, subscribe to his channel, follow him on social media, and buy his t-shirts at prowrestlingtees.com/RJ City.